welcome to another episode of What's My Drinking? So, I think as you've already realized, I'm in Gozo. Actually, I'm in Shara over here, just overlooking Marsovin Valley. And I came for a bit of a break from the hustle and bustle and all the COVID in Malta. And this evening I decided to put a bit of a dish together with typical local cheeses and galletti and local tomatoes. And I think for me the most important, or the first rule of pairing wine with food is going local as the dish. So if I had an Italian dish, I'd probably have chosen an Italian wine. But I've got a typical Gozitan dish, so I obviously went for a typical Gozitan wine. Literally, their vineyards are just a stone's throw away, and I really mean a stone's throw away. So it's just opposite. I can probably see Ramla Al Hamra just in front of me, and the vineyards are just overlooking Ramla Al Hamra. Beautiful estate. So the winds and the sea comes through the vineyards, keeping the grapes really fresh. So this is a wine from Marsovin. Not exactly Gozitan producers, they're Maltese producers, but one of the biggest producers in Malta. They've been around now for 100 years. I think it was their 100th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, last year. And they've produced a 100th anniversary wine. So they've been around since 1919. And this Blanc de Cheval is 100% Chardonnay grapes. And I've chosen this particular wine because this Chardonnay is not matured in oak barrels and there is no malolactic fermentation. Therefore, Marsovin wants to create a very fresh, enjoyable, maybe easy drinking, maybe I hope with a little bit of complexity, wine that will not overpower the dish. So I want something fresh with fresh. Hopefully it comes true. So I've already poured a bit of a glass here. Extremely aromatic. I maybe get a bit of pear, a little bit of apple, definitely some citrus, but it's got this volume to it. It's quite a rich aroma. So the Ramla estate just opposite is around 38 Tumoli, if I'm not mistaken. The soil is a mix between clay and sand soils, and it's 100% Chardonnay grape, so no blend whatsoever. So a bit like Chablis. So Chablis is also 100% Chardonnay grape, and it's also similar to Chablis. It's not generally, so Chablis is also not generally aged in oak barrels. So that is why Chablis is also considered very fresh. So maybe we can call this the Chablis of Gozo, if you like. Really nice, extremely fresh. Maybe it doesn't have the searing acidity as Chablis. Let's see. It's still extremely fresh. It's the 2019 vintage, so it's very, 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 very young. And the freshness is really there. It's quite impressive to get such freshness from a warm climate such as Gozo or Malta, and it takes expertise to make a wine that is so fresh. I think actually previously, maybe pre-2000 or pre-joining Europe, Maltese wines were a little bit on the heavy side, lacked a little bit of freshness and acidity, but they've really, really come true. I think nowadays I would actually choose Maltese and Gozitan wines, as I did today, because they really can stand up to the foreign wines, and I think this really does stand up to it. It's an extremely fresh wine. I don't think it's a wine that I would want to age for too long, so I'd probably age it maximum 2-3 years. Maybe beyond that it might lose maybe too much acidity and lose too much freshness. But it's a wine that's meant to be drunk young. It's not meant to be aged for years and years. It's meant to be enjoyed, I think, in its youth with a dish of jbainet like I'm doing. This is great. I'm really enjoying this. So the length of the wine is also enjoyable. So I keep tasting the wine, I keep tasting the pear and the apple, a certain complexity, a certain richness to it. So it's got a certain creaminess to it, even though there's no malolactic fermentation. So they don't really play around with the grapes. There isn't too much human intervention in the grapes, and that's why the wine is so fresh. And that's really good. I also know that they hand pick these grapes, so there's no machinery involved. And when you hand pick the grapes, it usually means that there's less human intervention when you actually hand pick the grapes, so you don't crush the berries when picking them with the machine. So that's fantastic as well. Oh, I'm enjoying this. Listen guys, I think I'm going to tuck in. So have a great day and see you for the next episode.